This video is going to be a walkthrough of the startup, operating exercises, and shutdown procedure for the flow control loop. After you have verified that everybody has the correct PPE to start the process, and you also have gone through the pre-startup safety review, you can start powering up the unit. First thing we'll do is to connect the air supply for the unit to the utility box. We will turn the supply valve to on, and we will adjust the pressure to 25 psi. Next step will be to plug in the controller. And after that, we'll plug in the variable speed switch for pump 1, and we can turn on the power strip that it's plugged into. Our initial valve lineup will be all valves closed. So we'll go around, verify all of our valves are in the closed position. Next thing we can do is to stroke the control valve, make sure that's in working order before starting up the unit. With the automatic manual selector button, you'll select manual, which it's already on. With D, you can select V, and that is for output. And first we'll adjust to 25% output and verify that the flow control valve moves up. It did. Now we'll adjust to 50% output. Verify that it moves. It did move. And now up to 75% output. Verify we're at 75. And now up to 100% output. And at 100%, the valve should be 100% open, which it is. And now you can repeat these steps and restore the valve back to 0% output. Now we will begin our startup procedure. We will open valve 1, and we will open valve 2 to 25%. And we can also open valve 3. Now we will start the pump using the variable speed switch. We will turn it to VAR, press on, and have the pump starting in the high setting. After starting, we will turn it down to low. Now we can open valve 4 slowly. And now we can adjust valve 2, the minimum flow line, to reach the rotometer 2 to 3.5 gallons per minute. It is now 3.5 gallons per minute. Now that the unit is running, we can start operating exercise 1. We'll use our automatic manual switch to place a controller into automatic. Use our D switch to make sure the controller is set to S for set point, and we can adjust our set point to 1.5. And prior to making any of these changes on the controller, make a prediction of what you think will happen will our flow control valve open or will it close? Allow time for the unit to achieve the new set point. Once the unit has achieved the new set point, we can now lower it to 0.5. And again, before making any changes, make a prediction on what you think will happen. When we make this change, will the flow control valve open or close? And again, after changing your set point, make sure to allow time for the unit to reach your new set point. Now that we're done with operating exercise 1, we're going to move on to operating exercise 2. The first step will be placing our controller into manual mode. We will select V for output, and we will increase our output to 100% to fully open our flow control valve. And as we can see, our flow control valve is fully open now. The purpose of our second operating exercise is to try to equalize flow between road meters 1 and 2. So the first thing we will do is we will open valve 5 slowly. And next we will manipulate valve 3 to try to equalize our flow between the road meters. So we begin by closing the valve. And by closing valve 3 and restricting flow through that line, we have achieved roughly 2.5 gallons per minute on rotometer 1 and 2.5 gallons per minute on rotometer 2. And again, when making any of these moves with any of the valves, make a prediction on what you think will happen after you make that move. Now that we're done with our second operating exercise, we'll start our shutdown procedure. First thing we'll do will be to turn off pump 1. We restore our variable speed selector to high, and now we can turn off our pump. And our next step will be to close all of our valves. Valve 5, valve 3, valve 4, valve 2, and valve 1. We can adjust our pressure adjuster for our air back down to 0 and turn the supply valve off and disconnect the air supply to the unit. Next thing we can do is unplug our controller. And we can use the on-off switch on our power strip to turn the power strip off and unplug our variable speed switch. And after finishing shutdown, before leaving the unit, verify there are no leaks or malfunctions present and that the unit is correct operating condition for the next operators to work on it. Also, notify your instructor with any issues with the unit that need troubleshooting or maintenance.